All right, guys, what's up? Today we are doing the donut store blend. The reason why is because I just finished the Sumatra and I really want some coffee that tastes like nut on my tongue. So we're gonna get this guy brewing. I am probably going food shopping today, so I'll see if I can put it in the budget to get some other type of coffee so we can switch it up a bit for you guys and myself as well. I probably want to get at least one of the pre-made cappuccinos. But I want to do a follow-up to yesterday's video where I feel like we've seen, if not the final nail, the second nail in Twitch's coffin recently with the unfortunate attack on the Israeli diplomats. First of all, let's just say this is an absolute tragedy that such a young couple that was engaged to be married was taken out in such a terrible way for political reasons. Now, what does this have to do with Twitch? Apparently, some news media is blaming this on Hassan, among other people. Now, as far as I've seen, at the time of recording this video, there's no evidence to suggest that Hassan was in any way responsible for this, nor is there evidence to suggest that the guy was actually a Hassan viewer. There is some wild claims. Wild claims might be a little bit overstating it, but there are some claims that the guy had a Twitch account and was a Twitch viewer, but we don't know. So we're always focused on telling the truth, countering misinformation, and focusing on what's actually going on. So there's no evidence yet to suggest that this guy had anything to do with Hassan, but the problem is the narrative that's being shaped, right? Regardless of whether or not this guy was in Hassan's channel at all, the fact that mass media is drawing this link and advertisers are going to see that at all, it's already, the damage is already done. It's one of those things where I really got to get the cream. It just doesn't, milk doesn't taste as good. I need that creamy nut in my coffee. The evidence doesn't matter in court of public opinion, right? The only thing that matters is the optics. And the optics of this are that Twitch's golden boy is a pro-Palestine political grifter that supports terrorism, and now that specifically anti-Israeli terrorism, and now that terrorism is happening domestically in the United States. So advertisers are about to GTFO, the ones that haven't already. Also, on top of this, the optics for Twitch as a company, as far as investors and more high level business stuff, look absolutely terrible. Yesterday, I talked about the only way to really fix Twitch is to change up the executive suite. I talked specifically about replacing Dan Clancy. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen because here's the thing. The people who are responsible always dodge responsibility, right? When a business is going under, it's not the middle management's fault. It's not the frontline workers' fault. It's the CEO's fault. But the CEO or the board of directors are always the last people to lose their jobs. They will shuffle everyone else in the company in and out and be like, man, I can't figure out what the problem. You're the fucking problem, right? So whether or not we're actually going to see any changes to save Twitch, I don't know. And I feel like changes they may make to try and deal with this optics issue may just make everything worse, depending on what direction they take it. Now, as for my part, I love the community I've built on Twitch. I'm gonna keep streaming on Twitch until I can't anymore. If for whatever reason they start to ban certain types of content that seems unlikely, though possible, then I will just stop streaming those streams on Twitch. You know, with the multi streaming, I can toggle separate each separate stream on. Like I've already said, I'm gonna have to toggle the music streams off on YouTube and just do those on Twitch and Kick. Perhaps when I'm talking about news and current events in the future, I might have to end up toggling that off Twitch, depending on what their policies end up being, but who knows? My point is two things. First of all, stop hating each other and do a better job of loving each other. That's the most important thing. The second thing is, I hate to say it, I've never really been the type to say I told you so, but I've been warning you guys. I've been warning people for decades, honestly, about this type of stuff, and people just don't listen to me. You know, I know how small my views are. And here's the thing, I don't care, because for me, it's about putting the message out there. I really don't give a fuck if people aren't going to listen to it. That's on them. What I want to do is, the day I die and meet the Lord face to face, I want to be able to tell him I did the best I could to save this planet, to save the people of this planet. And I just want to be clear, I don't believe it's my right or responsibility or anything like that to save anyone except for myself. But I also don't believe I can stand by idly and do nothing. And first of all, my soul wouldn't be okay with that. Second of all, I don't believe the Lord would be okay with that either. So I do everything I can to try and turn these negative outcomes around. And it just doesn't seem to be enough. I often wonder if that's my failure. I feel like I probably should have started earlier and I should have been more consistent with trying to turn things around. But to be honest, I wasn't in a place that I could do that. You know, I've mentally struggled for many years. I didn't have the clarity of thought. I didn't have the courage to do it for a long time. And I've always said things. Like, I've never not spoken up. I don't think there's ever been a time. There's been one or two times I kind of bit my tongue, but it was more because, not because I was afraid to speak so much, but rather because I didn't see how saying anything in that particular situation would do any good. And there's a few things I still haven't spoken on for that precise reason. But that's not to say I wasn't afraid to speak up. My fear in speaking up has always materialized. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's always presented itself as a whisper rather than a shout or even just speaking in my normal voice, right? I'm going to start shouting soon. I'm working on that all in the background every single day. But for many, many years, I would just whisper, talk to friends on the down low, maybe write some quiet DMs or something. And I didn't ever risk getting my tongue cut out, basically. But at this point, I give zero fucks anymore. So I'm just saying whatever I believe needs to be said. And I could be wrong. We're all imperfect by nature. So I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes. And if I make mistakes, I will own them. But here's the thing, I'm doing everything I know how to do. There's a lot of work going into the things I'm doing, so it's happening slowly, but I don't care if I get 0 views on every single video. If I never make a cent off this bullshit and it ends up costing me thousands of dollars to keep posting, because every moment I'm doing this is moment I'm not working a regular job, which is way easier than people like to admit. Show up, you don't have to think about anything. You put the fries in the bag and you collect your paycheck and go home. So here's the thing, I'm not going to stop. Even if I get banned off platforms for speaking the truth, I'm just going to keep finding other platforms. Eventually, I'll make my own platform to ensure I basically can't get banned. And you know what? If they try shutting that down on the basic level, I'm just going to keep bouncing it around the world the same way the Pirate Bay has. So I just really want you guys to do a better job of loving each other. The biggest thing of all is to love your neighbor as yourself, right? Like, just think about it for a minute. If you had just gotten engaged and you were spending this wonderful evening with your future spouse at the museum, would you want to be gunned down like that? I'm going to say the answer for 99% of you is no. And for the 1% of you that would say yes, you need serious help. Go talk to someone, please. I'm worried for the future of Twitch, but more importantly, I'm worried for the future of the United States and the world. And I'm going to keep doing everything I can to steer us away from that dark future I see us barreling towards, but I'm worried it won't be enough. Cheers.